There have been many instances where MLB players, or let alone sports players, decide to either opt out of a season and not play or just go on strike. During the 2020 season, we witnessed a ton of players opt out. But what if I told you about a man who had a bright future in the MLB, could have been a star, but out of nowhere, he just vanished? And the reason why will shock you. How is everybody doing today? It's Sportolo back with another video. Today, I'll be talking about an MLB player who disappeared. Let's not waste any time, and let's get straight into it. A few things I would like to say before the video starts. Number one, there was literally just one photo of this guy on the internet. I'm serious. Number two, which is adding on to what I was saying, this guy is so unknown that even if you look up his name, he won't pop up until you type MLB next to it. So you're probably wondering, who is this guy? Well, let me tell you about a man named Bill Thomas. He was born in 1880 in Florence, California, and when this guy was in the minor leagues, he was unstoppable. In 1903, he won 29 games and had a 2.39 ERA. And at that time, pitchers were starting a lot more games, which explains why the record for the most wins in an MLB season by a pitcher is 59. Thomas would improve some more the next season as he won 27 and 24 with a 2.87 ERA. And Thomas stayed consistent in 1905. He had 20 wins, 16 losses with a 2.06 ERA. In other words, Thomas had a bright future. And by bright, I mean so bright, he was being compared to Christy Mathewson, who is one of the greatest pitchers of all time. But during the offseason, he got himself in an unfortunate situation. He got ill during winter season, and that caused for him to decide to pack his bags and go play in Buffalo for the Bisons, who are now known today as the AAA affiliate of the Toronto Blue Jays. Thomas seemed like he had a good chance of getting called up and proving to the league what he is capable of. Now, he did have one start where it was against the Baltimore Orioles. He did have a complete game, but he gave up 13 hits, 5 walks, and 8 runs. Thomas seemed like he was really enjoying his role on the team. While the team was traveling all over the place by train, Thomas was loving it. He was also fitting in very well with his teammates as he was eating lunch with them, and all in all, he was getting along. But then, there was one road trip the Bisons went on, and it would be Thomas's last one. The Bisons were going to New York by boat, and Thomas, who was in high spirits, wasn't enjoying the ride all that much. He was getting seasick to the point where he asked his teammate, Joe Galsky, if they could change spots on their bunk bed. Galsky refused and didn't care about his roommate needing help. The two would go to bed early as they were in bed by 10 o'clock. And once everyone was asleep, this is where Thomas disappeared without anyone noticing. Galsky would wake up at 6 in the morning. He was going to wake up Thomas, but noticed he wasn't there. Instead of being suspicious or even curious of where he was, he just assumed he was already up and ready to go. The Bison's team would gather up later in the morning, and this is where they realized one of their teammates is missing. The Bison's manager, George Stallings, assumed that maybe Thomas was so ill, he just went to the hotel without the others. But once they looked at the cabin, they noticed that Thomas's suitcase was still there. This is where the police was involved as they did some investigating. And as you probably guessed, they didn't find anything. On May 9th, the Pittsburgh Press would write in the newspaper saying, quote, "No trace of his body has been found, but there seems little doubt he found a watery death. It is said he was a man of good habits. It is not believed that he committed suicide." The police never found out where he was, if he passed out or not, and why. But why would he have passed away? People were speculating that maybe it was either the fact he got too ill to the point it took his life away, or maybe it had to do with drinking. At the time, players were obsessed with alcohol. And I mean obsessed, it was really bad. Like to the point it was getting really serious. But it couldn't have been that. Why? Because that is not something Thomas would do. He had his manners and knew that drinking was only going to get him addicted. Nothing more, nothing less. So it couldn't have possibly been that. Another theory people had, which I think makes the most sense even though it sounds odd, is that he went outside of the boat probably around midnight to 3 a.m., sometime around there where everyone is deep asleep to get some fresh air due to being so nauseous. And while he was doing that, well, maybe he slipped or leaned too far off the railing and fell into the water, and nobody was there to help him out. The Bisons were devastated when they found out that their young star had passed away. He was only in his mid-20s and had a long life ahead of himself. And as of today, it has been 115 years since this incident occurred. We can all agree that the chances of the police finding any sort of evidence or proof of what happened to him is basically impossible. What I was really wondering was how good Thomas would have been in the majors. Like I said the first time, this guy was being compared to the Hall of Famer who was easily one of the most unstoppable pitchers of his era. The ending to this story will remain a mystery, as nobody will ever know what happened that night to Bill Thomas. Let me know down in the comments. What are your theories of what happened to Thomas? Or if you agree with the ones I stated. Besides that is going to be it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you're new to the channel, please consider to leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. I'm out.